The fluorescent lights hummed their usual monotonous tune in the lobby of Blackwell Industries, casting harsh shadows across the polished marble floors. Marcus Chen pushed his mop bucket slowly, methodically, the way he'd done for the past 7 years. At 53, his hands bore the marks of decades of labor, calloused, weathered, but still gentle. Most people who rushed through these halls never saw him. He was part of the scenery, invisible as the air they breathed. But Marcus didn't mind. Invisibility had taught him something precious, the art of truly seeing others. That Tuesday morning started like any other. Corporate executives strode past him, their designer shoes clicking against the floor, their eyes fixed on smartphones, their minds already in conference rooms. Marcus had just finished cleaning the east corridor when he noticed her, an elderly woman standing near the main entrance, her silver hair neatly pinned back, wearing a simple blue cardigan that had seen better days. She clutched a worn leather purse against her chest, and her eyes darted around the massive lobby with unmistakable confusion and anxiety. Marcus recognized that look. It was the same expression his daughter Emily wore when she was overwhelmed. Emily had been born deaf, and Marcus had spent the last 23 years learning not just sign language, but the subtle language of discomfort that often accompanied navigating a hearing world. He approached the woman slowly, not wanting to startle her. As he got closer, he noticed her hands moving in small, frustrated gestures, incomplete signs, as if she were trying to communicate with someone who wasn't there. The security guard at the desk was busy with 3 other visitors, barely glancing in her direction. Marcus set his mop aside and positioned himself where she could see him clearly. He raised his hands and signed, "Hello. Are you okay? Do you need help?" The transformation on her face was instantaneous. Her shoulders, which had been hunched with tension, relaxed. Her eyes, clouded with worry, suddenly brightened with relief. Her hands moved quickly, gracefully. "Thank you. Thank you for seeing me. I'm looking for my son. They told me 5th floor, but I can't understand the directions." Marcus smiled warmly and signed back, "I can help you. What's your son's name?" Her hands trembled slightly as she spelled out, "Jamesbla-CKWELL. Something flickered in Marcus's mind. He'd heard that name before, seen it on plaques and in the employee newsletter. James Blackwell, the CEO. The man who owned this entire building, whose signature appeared on Marcus's paychecks. But Marcus's expression didn't change. This woman was someone's mother, worried and alone in an unfamiliar place. That was all that mattered. "I'll take you to him," Marcus signed. "Please, follow me." The elevator ride to the 5th floor was quiet, but comfortable. Marcus asked about her day, whether she'd traveled far. Her name was Dorothy, she told him, and she'd taken 2 buses to get here from her small apartment in Queens. Her son had been trying to convince her to move closer, but she was stubborn, loved her independence, loved the community garden where she'd made friends. Marcus told her about Emily, about how sign language had become a bridge not just to his daughter, but to a whole community he'd never known existed. Dorothy's face lit up when he signed about Emily's recent graduation from college, how proud he was, how she'd fought through every obstacle with determination and grace. When they reached the executive floor, Marcus noticed the receptionist's eyebrows rise in surprise. Janitors didn't usually escort visitors here. But he'd made a promise, and Marcus Chen didn't break promises. "Wait here one moment," he signed to Dorothy, then approached the desk. "Excuse me, this is Mrs. Blackwell. She's here to see her son." The receptionist's professional demeanor cracked slightly. "Mrs. Blackwell, Mr. Blackwell's mother." She immediately picked up the phone, spoke in hushed, urgent tones, then looked up with a forced smile. "He'll be right out." Marcus turned back to Dorothy and signed, "Your son is coming. Would you like me to wait with you?" Dorothy nodded gratefully, and they sat together on the plush leather chairs. She told him about James as a boy, how he'd learned sign language as a child so they could communicate, how he'd worked his way up from nothing, driven by a desire to give her a better life. Her hands moved with a mother's pride, but also with something else, a hint of loneliness that Marcus understood all too well. Then the double doors burst open. James Blackwell strode out, and Marcus immediately understood why he was successful. The man commanded attention, tall, sharply dressed, with an intensity that seemed to charge the air around him. But the moment he saw his mother, that corporate armor cracked. His face softened completely, and his hands moved in fluid sign language. "Mom, what are you doing here? We had plans for next week." Dorothy stood, signing back with playful defiance. "I wanted to surprise you. See where my son works now." It was then that James noticed Marcus, still standing nearby. "Did you help my mother?" he asked, switching to spoken English while simultaneously signing. Marcus nodded. "She seemed lost. I just showed her the way." James studied him for a long moment, something unreadable crossing his features. "You know sign language?" "Yes, sir. My daughter is deaf." Dorothy's hands moved again, drawing her son's attention. "He was kind. He didn't rush me or make me feel like a burden. He talked with me like a person, not a problem." James's jaw tightened, and Marcus saw something flash in his eyes. Was it anger? Shame? "Come to my office, Mom. We'll have lunch brought up." He turned to Marcus. "And you, please, come with us." Just for a moment, Marcus wanted to refuse, to return to his mop and bucket where he belonged, but something in James's expression made him follow. Inside the corner office with its floor-to-ceiling windows and million-dollar view, James guided his mother to a chair, then turned to Marcus. "What's your name?" "Marcus Chen, sir." "How long have you worked here, Marcus?" 7 years. James was quiet for a moment, looking between his mother and this janitor who'd shown her simple human kindness. "I built this company on the principle that everyone deserves dignity and opportunity. That was the lesson my mother taught me growing up. She cleaned offices at night while I studied, worked 3 jobs to put me through college. And yet today, my own employees walked past her like she was invisible. Security didn't help her. The reception desk didn't notice her. But you," his voice caught slightly, "you saw her." Dorothy stood and placed a hand on her son's arm, signing something Marcus couldn't quite see. James nodded, then looked at Marcus directly. "My mother says you have a daughter in college. What's she studying?" "Social work. She wants to help deaf and hard of hearing children." "And what do you want, Marcus?" The question caught him off guard. Nobody had asked him what he wanted in years. I just want to take care of my family, sir." James walked to his desk and pulled out a business card, writing something on the back. "I'm creating a new position, Director of Community Outreach and Accessibility. The job is to ensure that everyone who enters this building, who works for this company, who interacts with our business, is treated with dignity and respect. I want someone who understands what that really means. Someone who doesn't just see it as a policy to implement, but as a moral imperative." He held out the card. Marcus stared at it, not moving. "The salary is $200,000 a year, plus benefits," James continued. "You'll have a team, resources, and the authority to make real changes. And if your daughter needs a job after graduation, we'll find a place for her too." Marcus's hands were shaking. "Sir, I don't have a college degree. I'm just a janitor." "You're not just anything," James said firmly. "My mother was just a cleaner. I was just a kid from Queens. And today, you were the only person in this entire building who treated her like she mattered. That tells me everything I need to know about your qualifications." Dorothy was crying now, happy tears streaming down her face as she signed to Marcus, "Please say yes. The world needs more people like you in positions where they can make a difference." Marcus looked at this elderly woman with her kind eyes and weathered hands, at her son who'd built an empire but hadn't forgotten where he came from, and he thought about Emily. About all the times she'd been overlooked, dismissed, or misunderstood. About how one moment of genuine human connection could change everything. He took the card with trembling fingers. "Yes, sir. Thank you." That evening, when Marcus came home and told Emily the news, she cried. They both did. But these were different tears from the ones they'd shed over the years, tears of struggle, frustration, and exhaustion. These were tears of hope. The story spread through Blackwell Industries like wildfire. The janitor who'd helped the CEO's mother and changed his life overnight. Some saw it as a fairy tale, too good to be true. But those who'd worked alongside Marcus knew better. They'd seen him help the young intern struggling with heavy boxes, noticed him learning basic Spanish to communicate with the night cleaning crew, watched him return lost wallets and phones to their owners without expecting thanks. Kindness, Marcus had learned long ago, wasn't a transaction. It was simply the right way to exist in the world. You helped because someone needed help. You saw people because everyone deserved to be seen. You treated others with dignity because that was the foundation of humanity. And sometimes, when you weren't looking for anything in return, the universe found a way to return it anyway. 3 months later, Marcus stood in his new office, much smaller than James's, but with a window and a door with his name on it, reviewing proposals for ASL interpretation services and accessibility improvements throughout the company. On his desk sat a framed photo: him, Emily, Dorothy, and James at the celebration dinner they'd shared. 4 people from different worlds, connected by sign language and something deeper, the understanding that in a society that so often rushed past those in need, choosing to stop, to see, to help, was its own kind of revolution. The mop and bucket sat in storage now, but Marcus never forgot them. They'd taught him humility. They'd made him invisible long enough to learn how invisibility felt, so he could spend the rest of his life ensuring no one else had to experience it. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness echo the loudest. Sometimes the people others overlook are the ones with the clearest vision. And sometimes, in a cold marble lobby where everyone is too busy to care, one person's choice to simply be human changes everything.